Now in the Locked On Celtics podcast, Anfernee Simons saves the Celtics from a slow start. Offensive rebound carries the day. Celtics win easy.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Hey
there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them Monday through Friday. I got bonus podcasts when they play on weekends, so they play on another Friday this Friday, so I will have another bonus podcast for you. Subscribe, watch the show on YouTube, get it anywhere podcast exists. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase of tickets to just about anything you want. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis, beat writer. I'm covering the Celtics for the Sports Illustrated Celtics on SI page. I've been covering the team for about 20 years, doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple of books about this team. Today, the Celtics beat the Milwaukee Bucks 107-79 in ultimately an easy win, but it wasn't always easy. In the first quarter, it was a slow start. Then Anfernee Simons came in, and they kind of rolled it from there. But there are a couple of key moments throughout the game where, and Joe mentioned this after the game, a couple of shots here or there fall, and the entire, flow of this game could change. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Later on, we'll get to individual performances. Neemias Queta, Nemi had this one play that got him benched in the last game, and it worked in this one. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Jaylen Brown's 30-point game. But let's start with Anfernee Simons. Celtics came out in that first quarter, and it's not that they stunk in the first quarter. It was that they were cold. They couldn't hit anything. They started out 0 for 4, 0 for 5. The Bucks started out 4 for 4 or 5 for 5. It was bad. And the Bucks went out to a 12-0 run. It was a 13-3. It was 13-3 at one point. And then in comes Anfernee Simons, just smoking hot off the bench. 11 first quarter points, 4 of 6, 3 of 5 from 3. So the first thing that turned this game around was Anfernee Simons coming in blistering hot. And it's incredible that here we are, days away from the trade deadline. His name continues to be in just about every rumor. We're all concocting trades to try to figure out, is Brad Stevens going to – what outside the box thing is Brad Stevens going to do? We're always looking at Anfernee Simons as a deal, okay, if his salary works here, his salary works there. And he has been able to just put all of that aside, really not make that a big thing. He has such a good attitude about it. It's I can't control what I can't control. And he's coming in and just doing his job really, really well. And I think games like this really make the Celtics have to think about, what do you do with Anfernee Simons? Do you actually trade him at the deadline for just, spare parts? Or not spare parts, but, so one of my things at Sports Illustrated is, you have to come up with things, come up with ideas that are, part of the moment. And we're looking at the trade deadlines where can the Celtics go from here? What possibilities could they go for? And, I'm looking at Miles Turner, who was just not good in this game. But you think about, can the Celtics go for Miles Turner? The salaries basically match. And you start talking yourself into other players in that salary range. And you're like, you know what? If I sit back and I think about this, is using the salary to get this player better than having him and going another route to get another type? Of all of the scenarios that I've been kind of exploring, I am starting to really lean on, is there a way to keep Anfernee Simons? Can the Celtics keep this guy at the $15 million mid-level mark, right? Just give him whatever the actual mid-level number is. And I'm sure that his agent won't want that exact number. He'll probably, even if it's $100 more, he just doesn't want that to fit into the mid-level because you don't want to have the guy be traded. But also, the Celtics need to be able to trade him moving forward. It just has to happen. Not that they want to, but you have to have the ability to move guys as you're trying to construct a team. And so anyway, regardless, If he is willing to sign here at that mid-level number, $15 million or so moving forward, I think keeping him makes much more sense than any of the centers that are out there, right? If Ivica Zubac isn't available, and by all appearances he's not anymore, or maybe never even was, if these guys, these impactful players aren't here, and you can't just say, well, yes, Simons is doing this, but you can flip him for a center, and because Tatum's coming back, that's your score. You know what I mean? You need to like shore up the center spot. I don't think there is a center out there right now that at this deadline, if you move Simons, that it's going to make this team materially better than what they are. Can you talk yourself into some guys? Sure. I keep beating the Santi Aldama drum, and maybe you'd need Simons to get Aldama. I don't know. I've heard the rumors that the Grizzlies need to be wowed to move Aldama. Okay, well, I don't know what wowing means, but I don't want to overpay for him either. Do you go get a Goga Batadze who makes $8 million? Can you get him? Maybe you trade Sam Hauser and keep Anfernee Simons, and that's the way you go. And you just say the combination of Batadze and Neemias Queta, who I'll get to in a minute, maybe that's the combination that makes more sense for Boston. And you've just got dynamic scoring on the wings, and it doesn't matter who your centers are. You've got good centers. You've got Queta, who's good. You can get Batadze, who's good. You're sacrificing something play style wise as far as you're not really getting a stretch big here. Batadze might be able to turn into one, but regardless, all of this combination is because Simons is able to do this, come in and change the game with his scoring right away, to just step off the bench and be hot right off the bat. He's not always that way, but he does it enough where you think this guy is worth keeping. He is worth figuring it out and reevaluating your position trade-wise. Maybe you just go a different way. And the savings financially comes from you're signing him to a lesser deal, and he's going to make $12 million or so less than what he's making now. And you go a different route with the money and trades and all of that stuff. I just think that he has done enough this year to make keeping him a real viable option. Part of that is also the other guys that are able to do things like what Jordan Walsh did on the offensive boards. The offensive rebounding, all of that stuff, I thought was huge. Anfernee is part one, but the offensive rebounding is a strong part two as to why the Celtics were able to turn this game around, and I'm going to talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it's always good to be right. And this week, Prize Picks is a special max discount for the big game live in the app right now. Drake May just needs one passing yard. I feel confident that Drake May is going to get one passing yard. If he gets one passing yard, the max discount wins. You can add another player to your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in. It's super simple to use Prize Picks. Takes no time to get started. Super clean to use, more or less on 2 or 6 player projections. So you're watching the game. It's so much more fun because every stat matters. Social feeds feature is awesome because you can share lineups and even copy lineups from winners with one click. And you can follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade picks right from the feed. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $50 in lineups. That's after you play your first $5 lineup. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You are an everydayer. The trade deadline is here. Now join the Everydayer Club, and we've got a discount for you that helps you get ready. If you want a group chat to keep up with the chaos of the trade deadline, the Everydayer Club has one for you. It's our Discord just for Celtics fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league. You get ad-free versions of this show, and you can sign up by trade deadline, that's February 5th, and use the code DEADLINE to get your first month free. So it's $5 a month. You get a free month with the code DEADLINE. You can pay up front $50 for the year. Tap the link in the show notes or go to LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. All right, the Celtics, hitting buttons all over the place. The Celtics, I think, really took off here with their offensive rebounding. Second chances killed Milwaukee. Again, that's something that they're prone to giving up. Doc even said it's 2 straight games that offensive rebounds have been killers for the Bucks. Now, what happened was the Celtics fell behind by 12, and Simons got it back to tied. Then the Celtics turned around and got up 14 heading into halftime. The second quarter, to me, was all about second chances. And the second chances were it's usually Luka Garza, who, by the way, was out there working his butt off. But this one belonged to Jordan Walsh. Jordan with 5 offensive rebounds, but it's not just Jordan. Jordan had 5. Anfernee had 2. Derrick White had 3. Queta had 3. They had 17 overall, and ultimately it got them 10 more shots than the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Celtics shot a decent percentage, 44.5%. So they got more shots. They shot a better percentage. The Bucks ended up shooting 35%. Just to give you a sense of how far off the Bucks fell, they started out in the first quarter 10 of 18, 5 of 8 from 3. Then in quarters 2, 3, and 4, I should say, they shot less than 30% and 19% from 3. Okay, they shot 7 of 19 in the second, 5 of 22 in the third, 7 of 23 in the fourth. And that is a killer when you can't score. But also the Celtics giving themselves multiple opportunities to score. Jordan Walsh got in there and mixed it up. But the other thing the Celtics do great is, and we know this, they crash to the nail. I talk about it all the time. When you're in the corners, Derrick White did this. I think all 3 of his offensive rebounds came this way. You're in the corner. You see the 3 go up. You run to the free throw line, and he goes in, scoops it up. They start the possession again. You're not only giving yourself more chances to score, you're making the defense defend for an extra 14 seconds, and those things pile up, right? You take a shot whenever in the shot clock, then it resets, and the defense you have to get down again and get into that crouch and try to. It's just frustrating as hell to do that over and over and over again. Even if the Celtics don't score, they had one possession where it was just 3 offensive rebounds. These possessions last 40 seconds, 50 seconds almost. Like to ask another team to defend for that long is difficult. They're bound to make mistakes. And eventually the cumulative effect of that leaves openings for the Celtics. And I was talking to Anfernee Simons about this. Not only that, when you start off slow as a shooter and they go in there and grab offensive rebounds, there are times where it's like you get it, you shoot it, and you miss, and you're like, man, that felt good. I wish I could have that back. Well, guess what? Jordan Walsh just went in there and grabbed it, and here you go. You're going to get that back. And you hit that second one, it's like, oh, yes. That alone could be enough to get you going. So you're demoralizing the defense. You're getting the shooters going, and that's where the Celtics get to take off. So the offensive rebounding is huge for the Celtics. Jordan was, I thought, really good in this game. Offensively, I thought Jordan did a great job. He was patient. He was under control. But the effort, the execution to get in there was great with the offensive rebounding. Jaylen Brown had 30. I'm hearing him halfway through the podcast, and we're talking about Jaylen Brown for the first time, really. 30 points, 12 of 20 shooting, 4 of 6 from 3, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 turnovers, which isn't the best, but it's okay. The 13 rebounds, huge, obviously. Jaylen's, I think he's led the team in rebounding for 3 or 4 straight games now. That's a big element that, we were waiting for Jaylen to kind of handle some of that. Obviously, Jayson, when he's here, when he's healthy, is Boston's best defensive rebounder. To get that from a wing, a guard, that's huge. You have to get in there. I've said this from the beginning. If the Celtics are going to be anywhere near passable as a defensive rebounding team, guys on the wing have to get in there and grab boards. Jaylen grabbing 12 defensive rebounds is a big deal. You can't just rely on the big guys to go in there and get them. Derrick White has to go in there. He had 4. Anfernee Simons has to get in there sometimes. He had 1. Ugo has to get in there. He had 5. Ugo comes in, goes 0 of 3, and once again is a plus 11. So it's the rebounds from the wings that are going to help the Celtics do enough with their defensive rebounding. They're not going to be a good defensive rebounding team right now, but it gets them enough where now you have an awesome offensive rebounding night. This is exactly where Joe Mazzulla wanted this team at the beginning of the season. We know we're not going to be a great defensive rebounding team. You got to get out there and just be better than horrible. If you're better than horrible as the Celtics defensive rebounding, now Jordan, Luka, Nimi, those guys can go in there. Derrick can go in there and extend possessions, get multiple shots. That can make up for whatever you're giving up on the defensive rebounding side. So this picture perfect for what Joe Mazzulla was looking for on the rebounding side. But Jaylen, I think the big thing in this, January, his mid-range shot has kind of like gone away. January, right? It's slumping. I've had conversations with some of the Celtics staff, and we're joking around about how the month has gone, and it's like January basketball in the NBA is just so weird and crazy, and you don't have. It's not like it's just not normal. Anything can happen, and guys go into slumps. And I think Jaylen, he was talking about it on his stream. Left hamstring tightness, right knee, his wrist. Everybody's banged up. You've been hit, you've been knocked around, all of that stuff, and everybody's banged up. You start to lose a little bit. But the big thing here, third quarter especially, Jaylen got going in the mid-range. Anytime the Bucks made a little bit of a push, the Celtics, Jaylen, in the third quarter especially, mid-range shots kind of buried them. He was 6 of 12 in the mid-range in this game. That's important. Back to 50%. Mid-range 50%, that's the magic number for Jaylen Brown. So he got to his shots, he got to his spots, and the 4 of 6 from 3 is a nice bonus. Only 3 free throws, but that's okay. He's probably not thrilled about that. Probably thinks it could have more points, obviously, but 4 of 6 from 3, that makes it 8 of 14 from 2. Just a great scoring night. And, for Jaylen to do that after 1 of 4 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3 in the first quarter, like everybody started slow. The Celtics starters were, well, except for Nimi, but everyone else started slow, and that's when Simons came in and kind of bailed them out a little bit. And then Jaylen got going, and then Derrick got going, and then Peyton got a couple of shots in there. But Jaylen, obviously, another 30-point night. His third game this season with double-digit rebounds. The other 2 came in triple-doubles. Let's get to Nimi. Let's get to some of these individual performances when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. You can download that Game Time app because there's nothing like being in this arena. This was a great atmosphere. It's always a great atmosphere in here, and you want to experience it. If you've never been to TD Garden, or maybe you're in another city, another state, and you want to go to a Celtics game there, download the Game Time app. It's the go-to app for scoring tickets fast. No hassle. Puts the advantage back in your hands. I've used it plenty, and the best part is if I'm in a new city, I know I can open up my app and see a couple of very important things. Number one, the price. Most important thing is the price. Whatever I see there, there's no surprise. If it's a $100 ticket there, it's not going to show up and be like $140 at checkout. The price you see is the price you pay. Plus, You get a view from your seat. If you're not familiar with the arena, it shows you what you're going to be looking at right from your phone. So it's super important. And also you get the zone deals. You pick the section, they will pick the seats, and you save. So check it out. It's great for last minute. It's super intuitive. And you can take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets by using the Game Time app. Download Game Time, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, Locked On for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And if you're using the web, it's gametime.co, not .com, gametime.co. Today's show is also brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I've talked about therapy and why it's really important to talk through some things. And February can be a lot. It's Valentine's Day. Maybe you don't have a Valentine. Maybe you're just the stress of the holidays and what you've spent. There's all kinds of things in February that can get you down. So whether you're married, dating, single, focusing on you, people are still figuring it out, and you can get a little help along the way. Therapy can get you clear on what you want, what feels heavy, and how to take some of the pressure off of yourself. Relationships are very difficult, and you always look on Instagram, you say, oh, these people are perfect. They have this perfect relationship. It's not true. Therapy can help you recognize things. It can recognize patterns in yourself and other people that could be weighing relationships down. And if you're not in a relationship right now, therapy can help you feel more confident in what you want moving forward. Confidence is super important in a relationship, looking for a relationship. And so it reminds you that you're not behind. You're okay. You're right on time. BetterHelp has licensed therapists in the United States, and they do the initial match work for you so you can focus on your goals. And if you want to switch therapists, this is very important. You can do that at any time for free. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks for becoming an everydayer. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics the number one Celtics podcast on the planet and making Locked On the number one sports podcast network on the planet. Super thankful for you. This is cool. If you're watching the show on YouTube, I'm here. I'm on one of the side rooms at TD Garden because they're turning the arena over for the Beanpot. I got the Pioneers Classic logo behind me. You can't really see it. It's getting washed out in the video, but Pioneers Classic was a cool event here where they honored the Pioneers who made this league possible, who made the Celtics what the Celtics are, who won championships here, who built this franchise, who persevered through real hardships to make this work, to make this team, to win championships. So it was really cool. I got to meet a lot of the children of these Celtics legends, children of Casey Jones and Sam Jones and so many people. It was such a cool event. And I said this to them personally, but I want to say it to them publicly. I'm so thankful for the work that their parents and some of their grandparents have done to make this team, to make this league what it is. I don't have this job. I don't have this opportunity without them making this franchise what it is in this city, without making this sport what it is overall in the world. Their fathers, their grandfathers were able to create a franchise, a tradition, a legacy that is unmatched. Their perseverance, their fight is incredible, and I am just so thankful that I got an opportunity to say that to them because it means a lot to me. I love basketball with all my heart. It's given me everything positive in my life, and it's because of them that came before me, became before all of the players here who created this situation that allows for me to be here and talk into a camera for a living about this team, about what they've accomplished. So great night. Great moment, and I'm really thankful for that. All right, let's move on. Let's finish up the podcast here. Neemias Queta, I thought, had obviously a really good game. The one play that he had was a fake handoff, drive down the left-hand side, and a dunk. If you remember, he tried a fake handoff in the Kings game, down the right-hand side, and his defender rolled with him. He threw up this contested shot, and Joe was upset. Contested layups? No. You do not want to take contested layups, no matter who you are. It led to a layup on the other end against Sacramento. This you just got to turn the corner, and it's just another little progression, right? I talked about Nemi figuring out the little spots on the baseline, working with Peyton Pritchard and Derrick White, and reading the spots where you need to be, reading the defense, all of that stuff. And then in this situation, turning the corner and learning, do I have this lane or not? You can feel like you've turned the corner and you have it, and then somebody recovers defensively, and like in the Sacramento game, now you stop, you turn, you kick it out. You've done your job. You've made the defense react to you. Stop, kick it, and work it around. Or I do have a lane. Let's go in, dunk it, and let's go down and play some defense. So it's like that stuff that Nemi is still progressing. I've said this before. I know what I said at the beginning of the season. I stand by what I said with Nemi at the beginning of the season, in the offseason, because I feel like that was true. My analysis of him was based on fact. And when the facts change, when he shows that level of kind of progression, this progression into what he is now, his ability to read defenses, his ability to work with these guards, that stuff it's new. It's growth. It's credit to him for growing. I said beginning of the season that he was, I don't know how this is going to work. I didn't think it was going to work because he was unplayable last year, and I just didn't think he was going to make this much progress. Well, he's made this much progress, and now my opinion on him has changed because he's shown it. He's proven it. We're sitting here. It's February 1st. He's proven it. So I think that, he's obviously he's playing well. The defense is better with him on the floor. And I think it is allowed, when I go back to the beginning, you don't have to go for the big swing at center anymore. You can go for, I think, a little bit lesser. You can go with a cheaper option. You now have the potential to keep Anfernee Simons and change how you approach that big man rotation. Partly, I said before, it's partly because Anfernee Simons has accepted this role and is who he is. The other huge reason for it is that Neemias Queta has become what he's become and is this good. And now your needs are a little bit different. If you want a best case scenario, the best case scenario is that Amari Williams becomes good enough to become a backup, and your Neemias Queta, Amari Williams, 1-2 punch is good enough to carry you through. But even if it's not, even if Amari becomes a third string guy and you bring in a second string guy, or you can still bring in a guy who starts and Nemi comes off the bench. If Nemi is your second string guy, then that is one of the best second string guys that you're going to bring in. He could be the best backup center in the league. But that's how good he's become, because I never would have said that in October. But now, yes, I think he can be. So it's incredible for him to make these progressions. I credit him. Like, the credit is all to him for working and becoming this and learning and growing. Credits to the coaching staff and his teammates and all that stuff too. So great opportunity, great game for Neemias Queta. Before I wrap up, let's just run through a couple of other individual performances. Derrick White, 17 points plus 27, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 6 of 14. He started slow, but he had a couple of nice plays. He had one great steal that turned into an Anfernee Simons 3. That was good. Let's see, who else? Luka Garza, just lunch pail Luka, man. He's out there working like crazy. You know what? Other than these big performances, obviously Ugo had a decent performance. Jordan was good, like I said. Peyton had a little stretch in the second quarter where he was, it started to get going, but it wasn't his best night either. And I think that's it. I did want to highlight things. I mentioned like different stretches. There was one stretch. I just wanted to mention this because I think this is an example of where things change. So early in the fourth quarter, the Bucks made just a little bit of a push. The Celtics were up 21-22 at one point. The Bucks are making a push. Derrick White has a turnover. Miles Turner gets it up to AJ Green, who has a 3. If he had hit the 3, it would have been a 14-point game. Mazzulla probably would have called a timeout. The way the Bucks were playing, I'm not saying that this would have been a a problem, but the way they were playing, they probably would have lost anyway, but it still would have been a 14-point game. Fourth quarter, Celtics tend to tighten up a little bit in fourth quarters. AJ Green misses. Celtics come down, whip off an 8-0 run. Now it's the Bucks who call a timeout. And now it's the Celtics who are up 23, 25. And it just becomes a certified blowout versus the cut it to 14. Oh no, there's 7 minutes left, 8 minutes left. Whatever it was at that time, you say, oh, there's still plenty of time for the Bucks to hit a few shots. You come out of the timeout, hit a couple of shots, 10-point game, everything gets tight. Those little moments, we sit there and we look at it, it's like they were up 30 at one point. It was a blowout. Who cares? There's a moment in the fourth quarter of this game where if AJ Green hits that three-pointer, who knows how this goes? So those are little things that I think watch for. I tweeted that out. It really was a low-key important moment in this game. And I thought, like, the Celtics had a good, response, but sometimes these one little make-miss. When Joe says there's 5, 10, 15 possessions a game that could change the entire complexion of the game, like that legitimately was one of them. So I just wanted to highlight that before I wrap things up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate you being here Monday through Friday. It's a daily podcast. When they play on a Friday or a Saturday, I will have a bonus podcast for you right here, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening. Thank you so much for doing both. Thank you for being an everydayer. If you want to be on the Everydayer Club, $5 a month or $50 a year, you can get access to our Discord server, our in-game chats, ad-free audio, compatible with every device, every major podcasting app. And if you use the code DEADLINE before February 5th, you get a free month. So go check that out. Now I would love it if you shared the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.